The voice inside of your heart and your head, you know it. Talk you through all these days. Hey everyone, I'm so glad you clicked on this video. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Keenan. Keenan is the bestest friendship accessory ever, coming soon. I hope you enjoy this interview today with a young man with autism who is dedicated to changing the way the entertainment industry portrays autism and ultimately the way autism is viewed around the world. So leave a supportive comment for him below, and the moment you feel like, I think I like this video, I think I like this channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, show that love. Enjoy the video.
My nephew is got diagnosed autistic, and he needs a lot of support, and he's nonverbal. And growing up and watching him grow up was kind of just like life changing in a way. And it really taught me a lot about like my journey on the spectrum, which has been so different from his and so different from everyone's. And I think somewhere in that's where that idea came from, is just like the passion of wanting to explore that more. So I spent the summer and I just developed this show.
Hi everyone, my name is Gena Sims. I run the Autism Theater Project, and today I'm talking to Danny Kennan. Hi Danny. Hey.
Hi, it's so good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, no problem. Danny is an actor, a writer, and graduated from University of North Carolina School of the Arts last year. And he is on the spectrum, and he's done work about that. So Danny, why don't we go ahead and start talking about the play that you did and what inspired you to do that?
Yeah, so my school has a really awesome program that you can do your senior year called Keys to the Kingdom, where as students, you can basically submit a proposal to do a play, and you cast your classmates, and you can direct it, you can produce it, you can write it if you want to do an original show, or you can do like a published work and the school will get the rights for it. And they usually do like 6 to 10 depending on what gets proposed every year. But it's only for the seniors. And kind of my whole 4 years at school, I got to watch all these other classes do plays, and every now and then someone would do something original. Someone would do like something they wrote. It was a really great opportunity, I think. And I just thought, I definitely want to do a Keys show once I'm a senior. And then senior year came around, and obviously like the pandemic, I was class of 2021. So the pandemic hit like right at the tail end of my third year. So we didn't really have any idea what our senior year was going to look like. We knew that most likely our performances, like our main stage shows, all of that was probably going to be either non-existent or just no audiences. And the school did everything they could to just make it accessible for people to still watch it. So we did filmings of them. Some people did performances outside, but that left a big question mark for Keys to the Kingdom, because the whole thing with Keys to the Kingdom is it's completely student led. So, it was up to us to figure out a way to still do it within the COVID guidelines and just the COVID world that we were in. And this was like obviously right during the height of it. So I thought, like, why not just like take a leap of faith, take a risk, and just try and create something. So that whole end of third year going into the summer, when we were all in quarantine, I basically just told myself, like, I'm going to spend this entire time to just develop something. And I thought, this is just a great opportunity to do something about like autism. And I don't really know where that like thought came into my head from. I obviously, like, I've always had an interest in things surrounding autism, because me being on the spectrum, my family's just been touched by autism a lot anyway. My nephew is got diagnosed autistic, and he needs a lot of support, and he's nonverbal. And growing up and watching him grow up was kind of just like life-changing in a way. And it really taught me a lot about like my journey on the spectrum, which has been so different from his and so different from everyone's. And I think somewhere in that's where that idea came from, is just like the passion of wanting to explore that more. So I spent the summer and I just developed this show, and it was a one-man show. It basically, I just kind of created the concept. I directed it. I produced it. I wrote it. I starred in it. And it was at the time like the most challenging thing like I've ever done, for sure. And the school was like great at offering some financial support, but the whole thing with Keys was that it was your own thing. So I didn't really have like a ton of like mentorship or anyone to really come in and like do shape ups or anything on it. But it was challenging, but it was really great. And it's led to some like really great opportunities. And I would love to continue the project even more in other like shapes and forms. It was very like devised based. We had like a devised class our third year. And so I kind of found the show and found the writing and the movement of the show and the blocking and the staging and the lighting, like everything. I kind of found it through devised and just playing. And I had like a month when I got to school to just like have that room to myself for certain hours of the day. And I just would stay in there for hours and hours and hours. But yeah, definitely like a life-changing experience for sure working on that. And I'm very grateful that the school like had that opportunity.
What was your show called?
It was called There Are No Words. The show, while based a lot on my experience being on the spectrum, was also just kind of heavily inspired by like my like perceived experience of watching like my nephew. And so like the character that I was playing wasn't necessarily me or my nephew or anything. It was kind of just like an amalgamation of like those two experiences that are closest to me. And so the character in the play was nonverbal. So I called it There Are No Words. And really the biggest part of it was its sound design. It was just one huge audio file that was composed of like hundreds of tracks and different instruments and different like vocal noises and sound effects that were all like layered at different moments. There was like two other characters in the play, but they were you only heard their voice. And so we would put their lines in the track. Like it was basically just one huge audio track that was played for like the duration of the show. So once the show started, like I had it like a visual or a lighting cue or something where they knew like, all right, we're playing the track here. And then when the show was done, like that was when the track ended. And we really wanted to create like a full soundscape for it. So we put speakers just everywhere around the audience seating, and we kind of like blasted them. We wanted it to be immersive. We wanted it to be uncomfortable because, one of the experiences that I have and I can see my nephew having is just that sound can be really incredible, and it can also be really like scary and really overwhelming. Certain sounds, loud sounds, sharp sounds, but then also in the same side of the coin, like music can be like so freeing and so relaxing and calming, that we really like we're exploring that as like one of the central theatrical elements of the show. So there were moments where the soundscape was like extremely loud and extremely like just uncomfortable to listen to. Just like anyone in the audience would just want to like close their ears off. I actually did the show to the music of Daniel Caesar, some of his songs, because it represents a very kind of like ethereal place that sometimes I can go to, like listening to it, especially if it's kind of just like the only thing I can hear and it's surrounding me. It's very like calming to me, and it makes me just kind of feel like I'm floating. And I used that, and I know it's different for everyone. But his music was a very like sharp contrast to the loud, scratchy, layered, overwhelming sounds.
Could you talk a little more about what your experience was like with your autism growing up?
when I was growing up, I just said like a lot of weird things, and I like did not know how to like talk to people, and I couldn't make eye contact with people. And I was super intimidated by any kind of social interaction. And when I was in first grade, my mom just decided to put me in this theater camp for the summer. And like theater does wonders. It's like magical, because then all of a sudden I really liked it, and all my family saw that there was some kind of spark, there was some kind of difference when I was on stage, and being able to play like a different character. I was so open, I was so free. There was no fear that the audience was there. There was no like stress or anything, like anything at all. It was just like pure magic, basically. But just the fact that I was so able to let go of any sensory overload, like anything like that, just disappeared, because I was like playing a different character, and I was on stage. And even though there was all these people around me, like nothing really mattered. It was like I was a different person. And I think that really encouraged them to allow me to continue that path, because it was something I really liked and cared about. And through theater and through doing plays with people and talking, and theater people are like, they're the most like personable, talkative people ever. Through doing that, I was really able to kind of develop social skills and develop more communication skills, and just kind of break out of my shell a little bit more. And it really helped. And flash forward to now, that's what I've been doing my whole life, is just theater and entertainment stuff. It's been a complete gift. It really worked and helped. So I feel very like blessed that I've like been able to have that.
That's awesome. Did you always have the ability to speak clearly or verbalize your thoughts?
I obviously had a lot of like social anxiety with like communicating what I was like trying to say. And I didn't really understand like the normal like societal like conventions of like having a conversation. Like I had so many chats when I was in like elementary school and middle school. Even still, I was just like messaging my classmates, trying to like spur like a conversation, like maybe like we'll hang out or whatever. But it was like that kind of like weird, like I like didn't know how to really communicate with people, and I had to do it over like a messenger, because I couldn't, like, if it was in person, I was probably going to like embarrass myself. And looking back, like, and really like seeing kind of my journey, and also taking the time to like do some self-discovery with that during COVID, I realized that like I was just like developing my ways I was communicating with people. Like I was just like developing it. And I used to get so like down on myself, because I thought that I was like so weird, and I was like such a weird kid that I couldn't like talk normally and have normal conversations. But like that was just me like expressing myself in like a very unconventional way, but just in a completely like non-harmful, just learning to talk to people way. And either like rambling or saying like the same thing like 4 or 5 times, but just in different ways, because like I can't even tell when I'm like getting my point across to somebody. Like I definitely like have been on a journey with it. And being in theater and taking acting classes where all day you're studying Shakespeare and Alexander technique and how to like read and do a good performance. It's all based on speech, and it's all based on like stature, and that I think has helped me a lot. But I can only imagine that if I didn't have all that, if I wasn't in the performing arts, that I would still be on that journey of just discovering how to communicate with people, and what my way is. Like there is no right or wrong way, if you're as long as you're not being like hurtful or harmful to somebody. So I'm very like grateful for all those like learning lessons and experiences I had, because I know that if I wasn't in this performing arts thing, I wouldn't be there. And I'm still working on it, like to this day, of just communicating the best that I can. Because I'm also just a big believer in constantly like improving myself, and just like, let's just try to be the best version of me that I can be. And that's like authenticity, that's working hard, that's growing, that's making mistakes, learning, getting back up. And all of that, I think, has shaped the way I talk now. But the way I talk in 10 years from now will be completely different than the way I talk now, and versus it's already completely different than how I talked to people 10 years before. So yeah, it's been a journey. It's an ever evolving journey for sure.
I get that from you. You seem like you're always trying to improve yourself, staying grounded, trying to get to the next level.
And I've only been able to do that because of like support from other people, which I think is like crucial. And autism and being on the spectrum is one of those things that, you know, sometimes you need support from other people, and you have to have support from other people to get grounded, to get your feet on the ground, and to get like a head start. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have like a supportive family, a theater community, like an arts community that supported me and wanted to see me grow. And I just am so grateful and can't imagine a world where we didn't have so many people that devoted like their whole lives to just helping other people. It's incredible. And I'm like, just, you always just got to continue to be grateful for that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. Is there someone in particular, or maybe a couple people in particular, maybe one person in your family and then one person outside your family, who were your main mentors, your main supporters?
Definitely like my mom. I think it's hard to like say one person. Like my whole family for sure just like has always supported me. But I think like with my mom putting me in theater camp, and never have I ever had a doubt that my mom like would support me if I chose to do theater, or if I, no matter what like career or life path I wanted to go down, like she would support that. And not everyone has that, and it's incredible. I'm very like lucky. And I think she's just kind of knowing that I have that backbone of like my mom, and like the faith that she's put in me, and the support, and just raising me to be the person I am. You know, I wouldn't be where I am right now, like without her, for sure. It was more of just like the arts community, specifically like in Delaware where I was growing up, and also like going into college, that really just kind of never for a moment made me feel like I was an outsider, or made me feel like I'm not like good enough to do this. You know, like they just always accepted me with just open arms, just like they'd accept any kid that wanted to try this thing out. I feel very blessed to be able to go to School of the Arts, and a big person that helped with that was Quinn Gordon. You know, he just, I think, saw something in me, and, you know, wanted me to be a part of the program. And no one there ever was like, what? You're on the spectrum? But like, there was just never anything like that. And that's like the arts community for you for the most part. You know, I think that like there's a lot of work that needs to be done with just like racism, misogyny, just like everything. But with like disabilities and stuff, like there's just people that need more like support and love and care and awareness, and like the spotlight in like the theater and arts community. But there is like love there. And I feel like without that love and support, like I wouldn't be where I am, and I wouldn't have been able to make this show and be in New York and auditioning. Like I just wouldn't have been able to do that. So yeah, my family and the arts community, it's just all about having like good support systems, and people who like believe in you.
You talked about how you want to be able to bring your play to more people. Is there like you have a big, crazy but not crazy dream around what you want to do as it relates to autism, or even just as it relates to your career period?
Yeah, I have like big dreams with it. And one of the reasons that my dreams are so big is because I have truly like only maybe seen one or two like extremely like authentic, and this is like a huge like broad range of things, because authentic could mean something different to another person. And that's the thing with autism, like everybody's experience is completely different, and there's not enough research to know that like this is what it is. Like everyone's experience is different, so it's hard to pinpoint and say, well, that's an authentic like portrayal. But I think that in Hollywood and theater, like there's just not a lot of opportunities for like something authentic to be shown. You know, I always tell people, like, if I had to say like one of my favorite like kind of showcases of that, honestly, would be like What's Eating Gilbert Grape with like Leonardo DiCaprio. And he's like not on the spectrum, you know, like he's not even autistic. That like the fact that that's like kind of like one of the best things we got, that sucks. And there's so many people in the arts that are on the spectrum. There's so many people who have stories to tell like on the spectrum. And I think that if there's some way that I can take this play, which was super devised, super like out there, or really like it was meant to be seen like in person in that room, if somehow like I can transfer that to like a film or a TV medium, to have it be shared, easily accessible, and shared kind of across like the country and the world, like I think that would be incredible. So, you know, I've kind of been developing the script. If I can get it on a platform where like maybe film festivals, or, you know, like short lists for like awards, or like helping showcase and getting the name of this thing out there, like that would be great. Because especially recently, there's just been some like really just like hurtful, like bad, like attempts at like trying to like give autism more of like the spotlight. And I think like somebody's got to like jump on that opportunity to like, you know, make a claim. Me and my best friend, my roommate Jackson, we started like our own production company after doing a pilot like completely unrelated to any of this this past spring. And so the hope is that this project of taking like this stage adaptation into a more like film and TV lens will be under that production company. And that's like one of the sooner projects that we're working on. So that's that.
That's awesome. What advice do you have for teenagers who may have autism, or maybe just even just for teenagers in general who want to go into the arts?
I'm still like on the journey myself. You know, I'm in a new phase of it, like post college, but I'm very much still like finding my way and experiencing it for myself, like for the first time. But if you're like a teenager, if you're in high school or in college or even before that, that you might feel this calling towards like the performing arts, I think that's incredible. And I think, you know, you should chase that. I have found that my greatest successes and also my greatest failures, which lead to successes, all of which has come from just being myself, like in my truest form, without judgment, without like any holds, like just loving who I am and knowing that me as an individual, there is no one else that is me. There's no one else that's like me. There might be people that are the same type, or there might be people who have had similar experiences like on the spectrum, and that's amazing. But there is no you, there is no me. So whatever it is that you like, whatever it is that you find you are being called to, or you kind of want to dip your toes in, like just chase it. And when you do chase it, and when you get there, just completely go for it 100% as you. And don't let anyone tell you that's not what people want, or that's not what people want to see, or that what you are now is not enough, because it's just not true. It's so not true. All the parts of you, just be true to you. And I know that's such like a generic thing that people say, a generic like kind of piece of advice, but I mean it. I think like all of my successes have come from that, because someone said, I've never met someone like you, or, you know, out of all these people, like you were the one that stood out, or whatever it may be. Like it was because I wasn't trying to be someone else, or I wasn't trying to be a version of me that I thought I would like better.
Mm-hmm.
And the journey of like self-love and just loving yourself without judging is an everlasting journey. You know, like you'll always be working on it, but just have fun being who you are in the moment. And I promise, like it will literally take you so far. And that's my advice as a 23-year-old who's still on the journey of it. But yeah, I think it's important.
That's awesome. I think that true to you advice does mean something when people really mean it, when it's coming from a real place. It does mean something, and I think it's helpful.
I'm just like, I think like, especially for people like on the spectrum or who have autism, like you have so many gifts and so many things that are so unique to you that no one else has. And why try to shove that down or hide that or change that because those are the things, especially in like the performing arts, but in any field, like those are the things that are going to separate you and make you stand out in a good way. And those are the things that people are going to be interested about you. I still do it. Like I used to do this voice where like when I'm talking about something, like I just go into like this different kind of speaking voice, and it's like really like cutesy and like kind of high pitched. And it's like maybe like a little startling at first when you're like meeting me and I start talking in like this different voice all of a sudden. And people do that all the time. But I remember like after I went to school, I came back home for a bit and reconnected with some friends, and they heard me do it. And they were like, I'm so glad you still like do that voice. They were like, I missed that voice. I love that voice. And to someone else, that might be like a weird voice or like a weird tick or something. But to my friends, to the people who like supported and cared about me, that was like something that they loved about me. That was something that made me like unique and that they remembered and held on to. And that's how it is with everybody you meet. That's how it is with any professional in your field, performing arts or not. Like the things that make you tick are the things that are going to make them remember you and think you're unique and special. And so don't hide any of it.
Awesome. I love that. Cool. Where can people find you? They just want to see what you're doing.
I have a website. It's Danny-Keenan.com, Keenan, and Danny with a Y. And I also have like my Instagram, which is the same thing, just with the dots of Danny.Keenan. And I'm usually like posting updates on there. I'm on Facebook. But yeah, I'm like easily accessible. If anyone ever wants to like DM me or anything, like I'd love to talk. I'd love to collab. I love to network. So yeah, let's link up.
Danny, thank you. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed hearing Danny's story as much as I did. If you like what you see, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. I'd like to thank our sponsors once again, Keenan. Keenan is the bestest friendship accessory ever, coming soon. And if you would like to learn more about the Autism Theater Project, you can check out our website, www.autismtheaterproject.org. You can follow us on Instagram as Autism Theater Project, like us on Facebook as Autism Theater Project, okay? I hope you achieve anyway today, no matter what life is throwing your way. Yeah, have a great day.